Today is Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes. That's George. That's Dan. He just walked off the camera, and the voice you hear in your head is Danny Elkins, and our special guest here today is Jade Bryce. How you doing, Jade?
Great.
What kind of coffee did you get?
The only sugar-free option they had was hazelnut, so I did that, and I had some brain octane oil in my purse for some reason, so I stuck that in there.
Oh, was it that little thing you showed me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How you doing, George? Oh, George got a headache today.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have any headache remedies?
Not that are available here.
Yeah.
But like cryotherapy really helps. Infrared, if you like struggle from headaches a lot. And then usually though, almost all headaches are from lack of water. So if you're dehydrated, you're gonna get a headache.
He's off to get water. I like, obviously I know it's not a remedy, but the thing that always gets me is just a shower.
A cold shower?
Head under the water.
You
guys want water?
I'm okay.
I might as well. I don't want to get a headache.
Yeah, I feel like I
Oh.
might as well.
Oh, I'm okay with regular. Wait.
Yeah, it goes in and out.
I'll take 2. Thanks. Thank you.
1, please.
I flew in late last night, so I am a little dehydrated.
You flew Allegiant?
Coming up in a minute.
No, I don't think I'll ever book a flight with them again.
I only did it one time.
They only
and I
fly
wasn't
once a
into it.
day, so
That's
if you get
rough.
canceled, you're not going to leave that day. Luckily, American hadn't raised their prices at all since weeks ago, and so because I said I was like, if it's under 300, I'll still go. And I have friends that are like meeting me here and stuff, so they didn't raise it at all. So I went ahead and jumped on, but I went from a direct 2-hour flight to a 6-hour trip to get here. So that was the only. Yeah.
Coming up in 30.
Yeah. Yeah, my 7th or 8th year in a row.
What are you presenting?
I never know till I get there. I'm good with teleprompters, and the last 2 years, remember, I didn't even have a dress. I don't know if y'all saw me last year, but I had to squeeze into Natasha's. I think she's a B cup, and I was at the time a triple D cup, so I looked like a bimbo.
Stand by.
So like Jessica Rabbit.
I think at the time she was a B because she's such a marathon runner. I think. I don't know. She may be C.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into
Either way, they're beautiful.
McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
All right, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us. There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host. To my left, the fight analyst, Dan Tom, back east producing Danny Otto. Our special, one of many, in-studio guest today, it's Jade Bryce. She's a former Bellator ring card girl, current Invicta Phoenix girl. She's been a long-time model, and she's presenting tonight at the World MMA Awards. Welcome, Jade.
Thank you for having me again.
How you doing?
Great.
All right, good to have you back. Thanks for reaching out. Did you be in town? That was so nice to see, and we don't forget about each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't feel like a year and a half ago that I was on the show last.
That's right, because they did back things up by about half a year this year for the World MMA Awards.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask, but I already know the answer because Goes asked you in the pre-show. But anyone that's tuning in now, you don't know what you're presenting just yet, or?
No, I never. For some reason, I never know, and then I get there and I just read the teleprompter. But I really like teleprompter, so.
Do you
I'm
know
okay
who
with
you're
that.
presenting with?
I requested to present with Jimmy because
Jimmy
he's
Smith?
he's never been to the awards, and he's like my brother, so I thought it'd be fun because we were on the road together for 4 or 5 years. So.
Who's your backup? Did they say?
Well, I
"Hey,
really
you're
wanted
back
Mercedes to come as well, and the 3 of us present because we were
That'd be
like
cool.
the Step Brothers, tribe, but she didn't make it, so it's just us.
I
So.
just saw her on Friday at Bellator, but I didn't.
Temecula?
In Temecula.
Mm.
Were you there?
No, but
I saw her there, but she wasn't
keep up with
within
it.
the distance of, hey, can I have a sec? Because she used to come to the studio.
When she
used
lived
to
here,
live in Vegas.
Bless you.
you.
Whoa, excuse me, headaches, sneezing. Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm not an allergy guy, and I'm definitely not sick. Just
Okay.
it's been a long. I drank a little bit yesterday,
That'll do it.
and like you said, the water. You just got to stay on top of it,
Mhm.
even in the desert. But back
Even
to
more in the desert.
yeah. Back to Mercedes. She was the only Bellator ring card.
They only have
girl.
one now, unless it's a
What's the
super
deal?
show. It's just not in budget to have more than one, and so when it's a super show, they'll have Daisha or Lindsay. But they've told me a couple times, like, Jade, it's been 3 years and we haven't replaced you. Like, we'd love to have you out for a super show, but it just hasn't happened.
Well, the next one's in San Jose in September, right? That's the one
Oh, I
where
would
they're
love to do
unveiling
it.
a Grand Prix and
Yeah.
there's
I'll
a
have to
title
reach
fight.
out and remind them because they say that all the time. They're like, we haven't replaced you. We'd love to have you out. And
Oh, you're not gonna have to because we will make it a recap, right? That sounds like a recap to me.
I think that's something where the fans push and it happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they'll act excited about it, and I'll act excited, but it's like there's not a super show booked yet, and then by the time it's booked, it's like we both forget.
Watch
so.
this. Jade, they're having a super fight or a super show in September. Would you like to go back and be a Bellator ring card girl?
Yeah, I'd be stoked. Yeah.
See, now that's the headline.
Especially to have a weekend with Mercedes.
I'd be stoked.
Mhm.
That's good to hear. Remember, I'm not trying to stir, but years ago there was talk of did they fall out or something like that. It sounds like you guys have been cool.
Well,
I mean, like
I
maybe
think
like
I had talked
sis-
about it again
Yeah.
on the next one. We're like sisters.
Right.
Sisters have falling outs. We're the yin and yang to each other, though. Like, we really balance each other out well. And at the same time, though, we're with each other more than we're with anyone else. And so, we nitpick each other, stuff like that. But, she saw me through a lot of heartbreak. I saw her through a lot of life changes. And I think when the whole letting go thing happened, there was a lot of rumors and a lot of hearsay and a lot of people whispering in ears and things like that. And I did a ayahuasca ceremony and really had a lot of clarity in that. Can y'all hear me? Because this is going out. Yeah. Okay. So had a lot of clarity in that, and had a good talk with her afterwards. And it's so funny because just a week later, I found out what really went down, and it had nothing to do with what any of us thought it did. So yeah.
Were
I
you
think it
even
was
in
just
the
a bunch of rumors.
Scott Coker era at all?
One season, but we maybe spoke one word to each other.
You
I
and
think
Scott?
he keeps to himself a lot. Mercedes said the same thing. She said they still have never, like, Bjorn, we used to like all go to dinner and like get to know our backstories, and it was really cool because he really cared about what I had been through in my life, and and as well as with the fighters, and he'd let me sell my stuff from Uganda that I would bring back from my trips and send the money back. And I'd send back thousands of dollars to that village, all because Bjorn just cared, and he just knew how much I cared about it. And he'd let me show promo videos during the fight, in the arena. So we were close, considering what the relationship was, but Scott and I never spoke really more than one word. So it was hard when, all that went down. I didn't have that relationship to, go to kind of try to figure it out with. But
Do you still do the boxes during Christmas time?
I do them locally in Austin, but I should do them online because I figure, especially if I like included something like an 8x10 or something, I could probably send them back a good chunk. So I should. I need to remind myself.
Can we talk a little bit about the ayahuasca?
Yeah.
How many times have you done it?
I've done ayahuasca 8 times.
Oh, wow.
And I've done Huachuma my first time Saturday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's look at Goes like acting like he knows what Guachuma is.
Well, they're just
I
different
wish
ones,
this
right?
was. So the difference between the two?
Yeah.
So ayahuasca is very visual. Whatever you're getting a message about, you become. So if I'm like I've turned into a fox or into a wolf, or I've morphed into my children and I'm them. I feel my little toes, or I feel my soft fur. You know, that's Aya. Aya is also very intense. You're not going to run from what she wants you to know. It could be really dark, or it could be the most amazing feeling in the world. And then I've only had one dark ceremony with Aya, and it took me about 6 months to recover. But I still go back and do it because my anxiety attacks have stopped. My depression has gone away. Just my mind works differently now.
You can't choose whether it's going to be dark or whether it's going to be.
Yeah, you can.
If
you do. So my one dark ceremony, I shouldn't have done that ceremony. I had a really dark week. There was a lot of conflict in my home. I didn't do the preparation like I should have. I wasn't cocky with it. I was tired, and I was thinking, well, I'm a mom of 2. My head's in the right place, but I wasn't meditating like I should. I wasn't, using my intuition, and I went in unprepared. I went in with that conflict on my shoulders, and I should have postponed, and I didn't, and I went into a very dark place. It was still a necessary place because I got answers, but I couldn't be by myself for a couple days. It was really rough. But those other 7 ceremonies, life-changing, like changed the way I live, changed the way I feel, changed the way I think. Huachuma is just as powerful, but very gentle, and it's not visual. It's all feeling. So it lasts a really long time, and it's funny because you think back to the beginning of the night, and you're like, oh, I was so young then, but it was just that same night. But it's because you've like experienced so much soul growth, and it's just very aligning. Like I felt my throat chakra and my heart chakra merge so that I could speak my truth from love instead of from, judgment or anger, resentment.
Where do you do them at?
I do them right outside of Austin, but I have done them in California as well.
Yeah.
But I have a shaman that I trust and is very intuitive to my needs in Austin. So I'm going to stick to that for a while. But yeah, there's no good or bad experience. They're all neutral. It's just, dark and light sometimes. And they've all benefited me the same way.
Our family's from Peru. So on our next trip, if we do Machu Picchu again, I thought about maybe doing
I went to
there.
Machu Picchu to do it and had found out I was pregnant.
Yeah,
so I didn't get to do it. But my ex-husband was Peruvian.
Oh,
and
okay. Good
so
food, huh?
anticucho and ceviche were my 2 favorite dishes.
Jeez.
But I hiked Machu Picchu while I was pregnant. I just didn't get to take
by
the
the way,
medicine.
is the heart of a cow.
The best thing. And I'm actually vegan.
It doesn't taste how you would think
I'm not
it tastes.
feeling either one of those.
I love
Peruvian
so
food.
good.
I know. I had it, and then when they told me what it was, I was like, oh, boy.
But you liked it before we
I
told
did
you what
like
it
it.
was.
I did
Oh,
like
man. I'm now
escargot.
vegan, and it's
Ceviche,
still,
no.
it's making my stomach,
I did have
it feels so
escargot
good
for the first
thinking about
time.
it.
Ceviche, here's, okay. Mexican ceviche
No,
is
not
good,
but it's nothing like it.
But it's nothing like it, yeah. It's completely different. I like to think Peruvian one's better, but
No, for sure.
Really good.
Yeah.
Peruvian cuisine.
Do you make it at home? Just let
I just made it last week.
Oh, wow.
For the Peru games, because they were in the World Cup, so we actually had some right here and had a good time. Peru didn't cooperate, though. They didn't win, but what are you going to do? You got to support no matter what. All right, so you've never done the ayahuasca in Peru?
No, I went there to do it, found out I was pregnant about 2 weeks before my trip, so didn't do it. I did do ayahuasca. It's all been in California and Austin.
Okay.
But from what I hear and from all my friends that have done it there, I feel like I can't even explain my connection with my shaman and how he knows. Like there was a time that I was a bird and my wings were clipped, may have told this story before. My wings were clipped, and this is how I had felt for like a year. I felt like I was this bird that wasn't flying. I felt like a watered-down version of myself. And he had no idea that I was a bird in my journey. And he came over with bird feathers, and he took the clips off my wings. And it was like, for a while, I was like barely able to move them because they were so sore from being clipped for so long. And then I was able to fly. But that's just an example, you know, of, and then, you know, there was another time that we weren't even on medicine. He was just doing a healing over me. And he said, you know, to go to a place where I feel the most peace. There's two places that always is for me. And one of them is in Pai, Thailand. I cried leaving there because I felt like that's where I was supposed to be. And I even had messaged my best friend, which is my other peaceful place, and told him, it's Tom, I think I've talked about him before. He has a documentary called I Am and a book called Life's Operation Manual. He just directed the movie about the football player who was wrongly accused of rape and missed out on his football career. So that'll be in theaters in a couple months. But it's Tom Shadyac. He wrote and directed Liar, Liar, Ace Ventura, Nutty Professor. I messaged him in Pi, and I was like, if you'll meet me here, I'll stay. This is where I want to stay. I feel like
and
this
live?
is, yeah. And this is when I was with Bellator. I just felt so connected to this place. I was staying in a $3 hut, and there were monks on motorcycles. It's where I got the tattoo on my back that says happy or smile by a monk, because I had been so depressed all year. And so I had actually contemplated suicide a couple of times. And then just 3 months later, I'm in Pi, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. So it's like a reminder that a smile is just around the corner, and I almost missed out on that experience, the happiest day of my life. And I had just bathed with elephants and all these cool things. So when Deva, sorry.
Wait. Let me stop right there. Bathed with elephants? Is that
like I bathed them, and I was in there with them. Yeah.
I was wondering if the trunk
they
grabs
did
the
though.
water and they shoot
They did. Yeah, they did.
Is that gross? It's not gross?
No, not when you love them so much.
I
know,
just like
but
them a little. Is it gross?
Isn't it like,
I think
it wouldn't almost be like me
it's
just
so
dunking
magical.
my head and then like Triple H and
No,
everybody?
it's so magical. I don't know. I feel so connected to elephants. But when my shaman said to go to my peaceful spot, I went there. I was bathing with the elephants. I was sitting in that hut in Pi, and I didn't tell him that, you know, and I was just laying there while he was singing these songs over me of healing, which are all Shipibo songs in Peru. And after the healing, he said, Did you go to Pi? And I was like, how did you know that? And he was like, yeah, you spent a past life there of peace and meditation. And so there's just so many times when he knows, you know, something there's no way he could have known. And so I really feel like I'd like to do it in Peru one day, but for right now, I'm so I receive so much under him and his wife that it's almost, I want to move to California, but I almost don't want to leave Austin, even though I don't like Austin, just because I feel like I'm being trained for something under them.
You believe in aliens?
Yeah, for sure. I've seen them during my journeys.
I think we're
in the sky.
Wait a minute.
I've seen them, and the people around me have seen them too. We've all seen the same thing in the sky when we're on that journey, because when you take plant medicine, you see differently, and we've all seen the same exact thing in the sky.
Yeah, we got to escort these two. Yeah. They're definitely on another wavelength.
I'm telling you.
For sure, I do.
Look at our history in Peru. Something's different.
Yes, for sure. There
Wait,
are.
But you
believe
that there's an alien life
and naive to think we're the only ones.
No, hold on a second, Jade.
Don't pay attention to this.
I believe that there could be something out there for sure.
What, like?
But didn't you just say you saw them or hung out with them or something?
No, on Aya, I saw them in the sky. And, and then I told the people the next day, and they described the exact same thing.
But you realized that was some sort of a psychedelic experience.
No, because they saw the same thing. And when you're on plant medicine, you see more clearly. You see differently. And you see energy. And you see the cosmos. And you see your connection to planet Earth and all these things.
Right, but if you and I go outside right now, we don't see anything of what you just described.
I see, now that I've done plant medicine a handful of times, I do see energy and aura differently. I don't see that in the sky, but my shaman has done Aya hundreds of times, and he does.
Okay, one time me and my buddy, Sammy the Squid, we did ecstasy at a strip club. We were sitting there, and he looks over at me and goes, he goes, are you a bearded lady? He asked me like that. And I go, what? He goes, you're a bearded lady with tattoos. And I was sitting there going, no, I'm just a dude waiting for the girl to give me a lap dance. And and that was it. So he tripped out for a second. So I imagine that's kind of what can happen here.
Can I weigh in on some middle ground? Middle ground as someone who's done DMT. There's things called trip reports, and what kind of Jade's referring to is whether people on ayahuasca, even DMT, there's a lot of similar themes, and these are recorded by scientists. Even scientists have recorded their own trip reports and whatnot. You can watch documentaries on it, like legitimately done, not just hearsay of, hey man, but a lot of these things you're talking about, you know, aliens or these words that kind of, you know, make people think you're crazy or whatever. You know, if you don't get hung up on the words per se and just realize that a lot of these people are seeing the same images, that's kind of far beyond coincidence. I think that's what you're referring to, if I'm not
You
mistaken.
can put 10 people in a room and do plant medicine in a ceremonial setting, not at a party, but in a ceremonial setting where the plant medicine is really doing the work, and 8 of them will describe seeing the same thing.
I wonder if this is what GSP went through. Remember, he had some sort of a deal with aliens.
I don't know if it was like that.
Him and Rashad Evans and a few people said they witnessed it out in New Mexico. I don't know.
New Mexico and Arizona are, you know.
Now, I have suffered from anxiety in the past. So when you were talking about ayahuasca, and Goz has brought it up before, I have contemplated it, and of course it being, well, I thought we were something that originated from Peru, but I guess it could be done anywhere. I know it's been done.
It originated there, but yeah.
Right. And I also heard it was in Iquitos, in the jungle up north.
We get
not
our
in Machu
plant
Picchu.
from Peru and Hawaii. It's a blend.
Yeah.
So I've thought about it, but I've always thought I'd freak out because of my anxiety. But you're telling me it actually
I thought that
helped
too.
you out.
I delayed my experience by probably 3 or 4 years because I thought, well, it's not going to cure my anxiety because I'll get anxious during it. But it's so I started having anxiety attacks when I was 7, really bad. Like I'd get them so bad that I thought I was dying, and it would go on. After that, I would be a robot for days because I was so depleted from what went on. And then, you know, by age 10, I became suicidal, and then that was off and on my whole life. But the anxiety attacks never stopped from age 7 to 31. They happened like clockwork every 3 months, and they would be so bad that I could not breathe. I was gasping for air, and I tried lots of things. I tried medication for 6 months. I got off of it. It's the only time I tried. I hated the way it made me feel. I hated the way it made me look. It didn't let me sleep. I tried a lot of meditation. I went to an ashram in Brazil for 6 weeks.
Wow.
I tried
Where
changing.
in Brazil was that?
Florianopolis, where the Pimple Brothers are from. Yeah. Garapabo Village. And I tried changing my diet, dairy and gluten, and you know, I had an amazing mentor, Tom, but you know, the anxiety attacks would happen every 3 months. And now I do think that the CBD oil, the celery juice in the morning, the you know, a couple things differently in my diet do help, but nothing worked like plant medicine. And it's not to say that people can't stop without it, but the thing is when you do Aya, it's like doing 3 years of therapy in 3 hours. You heal so much, and you understand so much, and there's so much compassion for yourself and for others, and I can't explain it. Your mind just works differently after, and then the more you do it. But I've never freaked out. So I told that story to say that's how bad my anxiety was, to where I thought I was going to die. And there's times I went to the hospital, and I've never on Aya freaked out. And that's in 8 times. And even in a dark ceremony where it was the most terrifying night of my entire life. Like, I thought I've had darkness in my life. Nothing has been as dark as that night. And I still had no anxiety.
Stitch Duran's done it. Dan Hardy's done it. I think Matt Brown or Matt Riddle.
Yeah, I think so.
One of those have
Dan
done it.
Was the one
They've all had pretty positive responses. Now,
well, it depends on what you prepare. You have to prepare yourself
I'm a
and
big
respect
wuss.
the plant.
That's the problem. Is it was a big deal for me to try escargot last night. Put it that way. But
if you're with a
Goz
shaman,
is a little more adventurous when it comes to that, and I want to know, after hearing Jade, she's had 8 experiences. Even the darkest one turned out to be beneficial to her. it took 6 months, right? But in the end, it was beneficial to her. Goes.
Well,
do you
no,
want to try that now?
I'm gonna do it. It's just my whole thing is being Peruvian and knowing I'm gonna.
You
want to
be respectful.
I want to just do it there, like start
Yeah.
there.
As long as you're with a shaman that is sensitive to your needs, and it's a ceremonial setting, and you prepared by abstaining from alcohol and any type of sexual activity, any type of violence or darkness for it's just a week. Then you're gonna the plan is gonna give to you what you put into it.
Well, the fighter that will remain nameless that tried to get us to do it, he wanted to do it like at the Holiday Inn Express here in Vegas, and I was like, I don't know if that doesn't sound right. There's a lot of throwing up, right?
I've never thrown up.
Really?
Wow.
Everybody tells me they throw up.
So you purge.
Right.
You purge in the way that's like, we're all different. So I'm very emotional and sensitive. So when I purge the stuff that the medicine wants me to release and get rid of, I cry. I'm not like sobbing loud and everyone can hear me, but there's just my pillow. I'm soaked with tears. So that's my purging. Some people burp. Some people do throw up. But in all the ceremonies I've done, I've never sat there and just listened to people vomiting.
No?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, man. You?
Okay. We'll see, man. I don't know. That ship may have sailed with me as far as that adventurous thing, I think the ecstasy in the strip club was good. And hang gliding in Brazil, I'm good. Done a few things, never really. That's about it. I'm not going to jump out of planes. And I did have a car chase in Peru once, a police car chase, so that was cool. But, yeah, I think I'm good. All right, so we're running a little low on time, but tonight you'll be presenting. And then when is your next gig as a Phoenix girl for Invicta?
It's July 21st. I don't know if I'm going to continue with that.
Okay.
Because both of these times were just, I was just doing them for, the first time it was to have a weekend away with Natasha. And then this time it's because she'll be in Peru for an experience. So I'm taking her place so she can go do that. But I don't know for sure if I'll continue in that.
It's not something that sounds like you want to do full time, but when there's opportunities, you'll do it. Like what we talked about earlier with Bella.
If it was an experience I was really excited about, and I loved who I worked with, and felt worth it financially as well, then I would totally jump on board. But yeah, I'm just kind of playing it by ear.
And how old are your kids now?
Soul turned 3 last week. I can't believe it. And Jaya turns 1 in 2 weeks. She turns 2 in 2 weeks. So, yeah, they're 3 and 2, and they are my little gurus. They teach me a lot.
And what else do you have going on in your life, whether it's your career or?
I am right now. I'm in a school in Boulder about how to do healings. Try to do some type of shamanic practice as well. So I'm learning how to do healings and readings and guide people.
Could you ever conduct a ayahuasca ceremony at any point?
I've thought about that because I do want to. Right now, I'm very comfortable taking people to my shaman for that, but I do feel comfortable helping people cleanse their own energy and recognize their spirit guides and their animal allies and heal areas of their life, and also go over their diet and what can change there to better themselves and do recommendations like that. But as far as plant medicine, as of right now, I just want everyone to experience my shaman because he's helped me so much. But I'd like to, maybe in 10 years, that's something I want to take so seriously that he did a 2-year training in New Mexico and with the Shipibo tribe. So maybe in 10 years. But for right now, I do want to just use my intuition to help people.
Do you pick up on people's energies?
Yeah, and my Huachuma experience Saturday, because I'm really sensitive to energy, and sometimes I see things that are not there everybody else.
Can you read us, or is that?
So it's not. It's something you can turn on and off, and then sometimes it's something you just see, and you're like, oh, that person you know, could use this, or that person has a lot of this. But I, at my Huachuma experience Saturday, I realized, because I had just seen someone who's a big trigger for me right before my ceremony, and I saw her in a way that was not evident to everyone else, and I thought that because I forget sometimes that that's just what I'm seeing. And so I saw her and I thought, oh my God, why is she, like, what is going on with her? And I treated her that way because I thought that's what she was really doing. And then later that night, the ceremony, the medicine taught me and put in my, you know, my third eye in the middle of my head that people's energy are not their intentions. Like when I see someone that has a rotten energy, or someone that's chaotic, or someone that seems to be hissing at me even, that's not what they're putting out there. That's not their intentions. They're a hurt soul, or they're on a different path, or they're dealing with some low self-esteem. That's not what they're trying to get me to feel. That's just what I'm seeing, so that I can put my protection up, or guard my spirit or my energy, or make sure that I send that energy back to Mother Earth to cleanse and send back to her so that she feels healed, you know, things like that.
So when you walked in this room, what was, you don't have to pick on Goz and I directly then.
No, pick on us.
Good or bad. But when you at least walked in the room, what was the MMA Junkie Radio studio energy like?
This is kind of, even though I've only been here once, this feels like a really familiar place to me. And I didn't, like I said, it's not all the time. It's not like I'm watching these people and I see, you know, it's not like that. It's like, I think it's people especially that I'm sensitive to. It's not just like, but sometimes I will see someone walk into my pool and I think like, oh, that person has a grounding cord on. She's so grounded. Like she has such a clean aura, you know? Like I'll see things like that and sense them, but I don't like walk in a room and like
my buddy Big Ralph, I was with him about 2-3 weeks ago. We were watching UFC 225. You've met his dad, right? Yeah. His dad walks in. His name's Joe, older guy, and the fights had already started. He's got a real cool man cave we're watching, and his dad walks in. Orale, what's up, you know? And he's kind of like patting people on the back and doing these handshakes, really, really good handshakes. And what I noticed was he just perked us all up. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like all of us were in like maybe a little bit of a shell, or watching the fights, or talking, or tweeting, or this or that. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, how's it going? You know, and he gives you this big, good hug. You know what I mean? Sits down, he's busting balls, and who needs a drink? And all of a sudden, like the party, even which was already fun, was like, so he's got that type of a positive
like that
vibe. You know what I mean?
Have, whether they do it on purpose or not, they have grounding cords, and people enjoy being around them because they make us feel good. People who are grounded make us feel good. And the other thing about grounding cords is they can be around someone with a negative energy, or that's just had a bad day, and you know, they pick them up and they absorb that energy. And normally people like this could feel depleted after a time like that. But the thing is when you have a grounding cord, that energy, and there's no negative energy, it's just foreign energy, you know, goes down and it's recycled and cleansed, and it's back to those people in that handshake, in that interaction, and then that person feels good. Yeah. And so then, because that person feels healed around this person, they gravitate towards them more. And that's why people like that, kids and animals, love them, because kids and animals are so intuitive. And like my best friend Tom, everywhere we go, kids just flock to him, animals flock to him. He's like Snow White, and it's because he's got that grounding cord on that is cleansing people's energies as he sees them. And I've always said I want to be like him, because we go to the grocery store and he makes everyone's day. He like fist bumps everyone. He's like, hey, how's your day? And the waitress, it's like, you know, he's just lets her, you know, talk to it. It's cool too, because anywhere I go that knows him, they're like, oh, he's my best friend, I love Tom. And then I tell Tom that, and he's like, oh really, I've only met them a few times. But it's like he's so good with people that he makes everyone feel like they're his best friend, you know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want
to
thank
how
you
I strive to be.
Very much for stopping by. It's always great to catch up with you.
I'm glad
we always
to be
learn
here.
a lot from you, honestly. Whether we have a slight disagreement, you know, the whole alien thing. But, you know, it sounds like you're very, very smart when it comes to things like that. So I really enjoy having you. So anytime you're in town, please reach out to us. And we're going to try and work on getting you to San Jose because I'd love to see
I would love
a
to do
Mercedes
that.
and
That would
Jade
be really
reunion.
fun.
I thought you guys were really.
I don't know who
great
needs to approve it
duo.
because I know like the Bellator staff want it to happen.
Yeah.
There's just I guess they keep saying we need to check with the network.
We get Scott Coker on the show, and I'm just going to blast them right there on the spot and go, "Hey man, this is what I heard. Yes or no?"
Yeah.
Be prepared for
Well, they
possible.
say,
No,
like
I mean that can always happen, but he may say, "What the hell? You know what else he owes us on, goes?" And we're going to capitalize.
Yeah.
The Warriors and the Lakers. He said he would take us to a game. And
Oh,
now the
that's
Lakers
nice.
are
Now,
good.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Although the Warriors did get DeMarcus Cousins, holy cow. But I think I want to take him up on that. We got to dig up that archive and go,
I
hey,
really
what's
like
up,
Curry.
Scott?
Well, yeah, they keep saying we need to just check with the network because they're like, oh, yeah, we're all on board. We'd love to do it. It's a great idea, great for the fans. And then it would be good for both of our image, you know. And then they say we'll check with the network. And then so I'm not sure who it is that needs to approve it, really.
You okay if we ask him?
Yeah, I would
We'll
love to do
we'll
it.
do it then. We'll ask him.
Even just once, you know.
Right. Jade, is there anything you want to plug before we let you go? You got an incredible social media following, by the way.
I plan on picking up my blog again and talking about these experiences and
At Jade Bryce, by the way, on Instagram.
yeah.
And the Jade Bryce.
At the Jade Bryce, yeah.
Yeah. On
Jade
Twitter.
Bryce was taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, very cool. All right. We're going to go to break. That's Jade Bryce, and she will be presenting tonight at the World MMA Awards. Hopefully you all voted for MMA Junkie Radio, and John Morgan for Best Journalist. Stay close. We'll be back with The Damage, Darren Elkins. He's going to be fighting Alexander Volkanovski. Dan, is that a sick fight or what? In the featherweight division, they get down in a few weeks. So he's just on here on a quick break because he's up for Upset of the Year. But then he's got to head back to finish out his camp. That's going to be an awesome fight. We'll talk about it more when we come back.
So check out the method as he cuts
kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM presents ESPN's coverage of the championships at Wimbledon. Hear point-by-point action throughout the fortnight, starting every morning at 4 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 145, XM 207, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Big shout out to Jade Bryce for stopping by, former Bellator ring card girl, current Phoenix girl with Invicta FC, but looking to maybe get back to the big show with Bellator if they'll have her back, only for big shows, as she is a mother of two, and but very cool chick.
Be nice.
It was fun catching up with her. Now I want to welcome to the show UFC featherweight Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins has a fight coming up against Alexander Volkanovski on July 14th. This fight takes place in Boise, Idaho. So we're actually coming up on it here. It's right around the corner. It's UFC Fight Night 133. Darren's got 24 wins in his career, a lot of them in the UFC, and he's on a 6-fight win streak, looking to make it 7. Welcome, Darren. How you been, man?
What's up, guys? I've been great.
Bro, 2011, you know, we had you in studio, then we partied with you after your win, and then after that, you know, we're doing the phoner stuff, so it's been a while. I mean, this is 7 years later.
Yeah.
We have you here in studio, but, man, like, back then it was Darren Elkins, a featherweight in the UFC. Now you're Darren Elkins, a contender on the cusp of a title shot in the UFC. Times have changed. Good for you, my man.
Yeah, things have looked up my way. You know, last time I was on here, I beat Diego Brandao, and I was just kind of getting my name out there. Not a lot of people knew me until I beat him, and now it's, you know, everybody knows my name.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
and I've been out there. I'm the Damage now, not just with the tattoo on there.
Yeah.
You know, so
New tattoos, new haircut.
yeah. Got the
all
hair
grown
going.
up
Now he's
Got the good
now
hair.
you're a Cali boy too. You're no longer in the Midwest. You're
Yeah.
with the Team Alpha Male. What's that, like 3-4 years now?
Yeah, well, I'm going on 3 years.
Okay, and that
Get
that
that
obviously.
sun. Look at the sun going on. The good tan. The good hair. Yeah, it's good. Life is good.
Now, obviously, we can always speak highly of all the gyms you've been at, but it seems like Team Alpha Male did take you just to another level. You know what I mean? Talk about that. The last 3 years there. Do you like the Cali life, Sacramento to be more exact?
Yeah, I love the Cali life. You know what I mean? You know, you could train at any time of the day. There's a bunch of practices going on, a bunch of like-minded people there that just, you know, we work really hard and we just want to get better and be the best in the world, you know. And where I was at in Indiana, it was just a lot of people had full-time jobs and they just couldn't do that. They couldn't commit themselves to training full-time, you know. And that was the other thing, you know. When I was in Indiana, I was also working as a paper part-time, you know. And that took up a lot of my time on top of training. And now I'm just fighting, so I can focus more on just doing me.
Yeah, definitely, man. And anybody that heard me intro Darren said, wait, July 14th, that's in 11 days. What's he doing in Vegas? All right, so he's in town. He had to break away from camp. He's in town for the World MMA Awards. He's in the category of Comeback of the Year. Now, we are in 2018, halfway through, but we're reflecting last year's fight that you had with Mirsad Bektik. You came back and defeated him. And so you're up for Comeback of the Year. So congrats first on the nomination.
Thanks.
And how you feeling about your chances to win?
I think there's a great chance I'm going to win it. I don't see how I can't win it, but, you know, it's voting part of it. But, you know, it was a sick comeback, you know, with a vicious knockout. So, I mean, not only was it a comeback, I mean, he was planted on his face looking at his own butt, you know, so that helps a little bit too. And then I'm also nominated for Upset of the Year. So that's cool too, you know. I mean, there's a lot of different.
Oh, yeah, there you are.
There's a lot of different people on that one, but I think the Comeback of the Year, I think I could be a lock-in for that.
How soon after that fight did you rewatch it?
You know, for me, it's hard for me to watch my fights no matter what. I'm critical of myself, but I watched it. You know, usually I like to have a drink or two in me before I get too critical of myself. But I think I watched it. I want to say we actually watched it here at the casino. Maybe a couple hours afterwards. You know what I mean? But I didn't really watch it until probably like a week later. You know, I sat down like, all right, let's get critical with it and fix some things. You know.
You're not gonna believe this, and this is gonna sound stupid because you were in the fight, but I don't know that you would have been able to take in that night how fucking loud it got when you did that.
Yeah.
Do you remember how loud the arena was, George?
It did, dude. Because
everyone was up on their feet.
Yeah.
Everyone.
For
jumped
one,
up.
Anybody can appreciate a good comeback. Right?
Yeah.
and this is a gaming town. You were the underdog in that fight.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that have parlays going on or single bets going on. So there's a little bit of everything to contribute. I'm sure there's Darren Elkins fans. I'm sure there's Team Alpha Male fans. But all of them came together, and it was, like Go said, it was a roar. It was a Roman Coliseum type roar. It's like you had killed him. Even though you didn't, it was like that feeling. And I love Merced, man. He's been there as well. Cool cat. It just wasn't his night. That's the way MMA works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your night. Sometimes it isn't. He was having a good night, but you dug deep and you got him. You know what I mean? But I'll never forget that. That was one of the loudest roars I've heard. And it was in the new T-Mobile Arena. It was awesome.
Yeah, I heard some of it, man. I mean, obviously you can hear it on the TV and stuff. It's not like as good, but for me, the emotions was flowing so much. You just don't remember everything, you know. And I remember how great of a feeling it was. That's for sure. All my emotions. I mean, I was almost brought to tears after that.
Yeah, it was primal, bro.
Yeah,
it was like that. You know what I mean? Like fucking jungle-esque type feel.
I mean,
like this is life or death. I'm trying to give it to you as good as best as I can. I've seen a lot of fights. I've been in a lot of arenas, and there's great results. Even Overeem Hunt had a good one too.
Yeah,
but yours was something different, you know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I just wanted to have a big turkey leg in my hand and a beer, and take a big bite.
Like Stone Cold, just open 2 beers and
you know, it is, I was drinking my own blood for about 12 minutes, so yeah, it definitely was savage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Darren. All right, look. So we're big fans of yours. We've known you for quite a while. When we look at what you've been able to do here, right? 6 fights, that is not easy. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's almost in any organization, top level organization. To have a streak like that is very difficult. Get a win here, that's 7. Every one of those makes it even more amazing that somebody could do that. That being said, going into this fight, did you at least have that talk with the matchmaker saying, look, I'm going to do this one more time, and that'll be 7, but you got to give me something here. Something's got to come out of there. Has that talk been made? Because I would hate to see you get the number 7 and then go, now Darren's in a good spot. Like, dude, you're in the good spot.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a good spot. I mean, most people don't know this, but I got offered the Frankie Edgar fight right before Cub Swanson took the fight. I was rehabbing an injury, so I really didn't have enough time. They only gave me like 6 weeks as it was. So for me to be in full health, I wouldn't be ready in time. So, I mean, they were thinking of me. When they offered me that fight right before Cub Swanson, I said I won't be ready in time. I'd fight him another time, but it was in New Jersey, so they're going to keep him in New Jersey. And then Cub got the opportunity, and they offered me this fight. So I felt like, yeah, I mean, I wanted a higher opponent. I wanted something that would get me to the title fight. But they didn't do me all the way wrong. I mean, they tried to get me in there, and they had me in the mind of, hey, let's give him freaking Frankie Edgar. And that fight could have changed everything. But so I'm still, like, right there. And I'm still, they're not pushing me all the way off. They offered me those fights.
When you don't have an opponent, they say fighters are always training for whoever the champ is.
Yep.
What do you got for the champ? Like, when you look at what he's done so far, his skill set, what would you say Darren Elkins brings to the table that would dethrone the champion?
Obviously, it's my grappling skills, my durability, and for him, man, he sets a high pace, and I set a high pace, and not too many opponents do that to him. So I feel like I can match his pace, and I can get in some grappling scrambles and really change the game for it.
Volkanovski 17-1. I mean, it's not like
not easy
you went
fight.
from Edgar to an easy fight. This guy's no joke either. But that's the way it is when you get up there, right?
Yeah.
When you get to a certain level, and everybody's a freight train.
I mean, I haven't had an easy fight for a long time, and I'm fine with that. I mean, I want to stay at the top, and I want to keep working myself up. And this is a guy who's up and coming. You know, just like Merced Baktik, he was undefeated when I fought him. So I mean, I can't take anybody lightly. They're not giving me scrubs, that's for sure. They're giving me tough, hard fights, and I got to be on top of my game and, you know, focus for every fight.
Yeah. All right, that's Darren Elkins here in studio with us. He'll be fighting at UFC Fight Night 133, which is on July 14th in Boise, Idaho. Your main event that night will be Blagoy Ivanov and Junior Dos Santos. We got to take one more break, so let's do it right now. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. Darren Elkins in studio.
Yeah.
charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The Killers are playing a private show for SiriusXM subscribers at the Stephen Talking House in the Hamptons, and we have your chance to be there. One grand prize winner will win a trip for two and tickets to this very special show. Official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/thekillers before July 18th. No additional purchase is necessary. All right, Darren Elkins chilling here in studio. Did you even get any workouts in, or was this just a nice little relaxed time to let the body heal for that last stretch run of hard conditioning and preparations for your fight?
So yesterday I woke up and I did some pad work with one of my coaches, and then we flew out here, which is it's a little bit over an hour flight, so not that bad. And then I hit up Lance Palmer, who's a good buddy of mine. He's trained out here, and we did some grappling with the team yesterday, Team Extreme Couture.
Oh,
so I
very
did
cool.
about an hour of grappling. You know, I'm not trying to kill it now, but just keeping my rhythms, keep feeling good, and it was perfect. And then today I'm just going to take off. I haven't had more than one day off, almost all camp. So just let my body recover and feel good now. It's starting to be where I'm slowing down my camp and keeping my weight good and starting to feel good.
And last night got to bust a gut at the comedy show. Adam Hunter, your wife Connie telling jokes. I did not know that. I got there late. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I heard she had a set, and then Jeremy Piven, pretty cool, right? We got to see him. Did a spontaneous set yesterday. Ari from Entourage. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, she did good. You know, I mean, the whole pretty much show of my wife's is making fun of me, which is perfect. You know, I mean, she can't hurt my feelings. If I had feelings, she'd hurt them. But I'm good to go. You know, so it was good. She told some good jokes, and she had a great time, and I had a great time watching the show.
We always ask the in-studio guests if they can share a good street fight story. You got one for us?
I mean, I shared the one with the bathroom brawl. I remember about 7 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm sure you've been in more than one.
And then I could tell when I was in high school.
Okay.
It's a good one. So it was like a cross-town rivalry, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we were fighting another town, and a bunch of us. It was probably like 30 people on each side, so it was a huge brawl, and it wasn't some cornfield where nobody could see us because the cops and everything.
So this was pre-planned?
Yeah, pre-planned. You know,
Saturday, we'll meet you at this
we're
bring 30, we bring 30?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to throw down, you know, so I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that, you know, I'm always good. I like this fucking brawl back then anyways for no reason, you know, so like, all right.
Like when you're getting ready in the morning, are you putting like steel toe boots and like you know, like, is there a certain attire for this? No shirt?
I'm putting on a shirt because if you get on the ground and you're starting to fucking roll around, dude, you're gonna get scratched up. So I want like a long sleeve shirt. You know what I mean? Because I've done the no shirt and you're rolling around and you're scratching, bleeding everywhere. And you're like, shit, I look cool, but I shouldn't have done that. You know. So I have a shirt on. I don't bring the brass knuckles. I mean, there's always those.
It's just mano a mano.
Yeah,
no
it's supposed to be, but it's never like that. You always have those guys that have like a roll of quarters in there, and you gotta freaking be ready for those guys.
Jeez. All right. So what happened?
So, anyways, the part where I'm getting at is we're throwing down, and I'm beating this guy down pretty good, and this guy pulls out a switchblade knife. You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa, what the? You know, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? And my buddy, he comes out. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like this freaking frozen. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? I don't want to die, you know. And I see my buddy. I'm looking at him. He's running, and I see him. He picks up a 10-speed, and he runs at the guy, and he throws the 10-speed on the guy. You know what I mean? So the guy's on the 10-speed's on top of the guy. The guy dropped the knife. We started stomping in his head. You know what I mean?
What was a 10-speed doing in the middle of a cornfield?
It was freaking. I guess one of those guys rode it up. I don't know, man.
It came in handy.
It was perfect. So I didn't even know where he got the 10-speed at. That's why I asked him, like, where the fuck you get that 10-speed at? He's like, it was over here. I figured I'd throw it at the guy. I'm like,
wow,
that was a good move. I mean, I wasn't thinking of it, but he's been in a few street brawls, so he was thinking.
And then did you get the knife and?
Nah, I just freaking tossed that thing, dude.
Okay.
Fuck that.
That's a good one there.
Yeah, man.
Well, what happened with the rest? Did you get any other shots everywhere else, or was that the focus?
Yeah, we got in some shots.
Who won, your town or the other town?
I would say us, but it was kind of competitive. I mean, it was so many people, you can't really tell. By the time the police sirens were coming up, we just got out of there as fast as we could, you know.
Sounds like the outsiders.
Oh yeah, we like the, you know, it was a small town.
Were you guys closer to being greasers or socias?
I don't know. Maybe greases.
All right. Well, I like them better anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, man, it's been great having you stop by. Thanks for squeezing us in. I know you got to get a suit and get all spiffy for tonight. You got Upset of the Year category and Comeback of the Year. Darren Elkins, 6-fight win streak, 24 wins in his career, fighting Alexander Volkanovski at UFC Fight Night 133 on July 14th. Good luck in that fight, my man.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Connie. And we're going to take another break. When we come back, who's up next, Goes? I think we have Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy calling in. He fights on Friday. Stay close. We'll be right back.
In the county jail, the prison band was there, they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing. Let it rock, everybody let it rock. Everybody in the old cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Spider Murphy played his little saxophone. Little Joe was blowing on the slide trombone. The drummer boy from Illinois would crash, boom, bang. The whole rhythm section was a purple gang. Let it rock.
Here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Thank you to Darren Elkins for stopping by and his wife Connie. Super cool. It was 2012 actually, not 2011, when he showed up to the Junkie Gatherings final. It was our post-fight party that we had, but we were all basically finalizing our Junkie Gathering for that year. And Darren Elkins showed up and hung out. It was after his win versus Brandao. He's right about that, but it was in 2012. It was a fun time. Colombia and England kick off. The winner of that game will face Sweden, who won earlier today. We're down to 9 teams. After this game, we'll be down to 8 teams, so we'll officially be in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. So that's chugging along nicely, and some really, really good teams have kept going, and then there's been some upsets, but it's been a great World Cup. Let's do the daily debate as we wait for Alex Caceres to call in. All right, boys, you ready?
Do it.
The question for today is, in Saturday's UFC 226 headliner, Daniel Cormier goes for a second UFC belt. But which of the past two division champs' accomplishments were most impressive? Randy Couture, Conor McGregor, BJ Penn, or George St. Pierre? Dan Tom?
I think people who know me know where I'm going to go with this one. As far as what they did per their division, I think George St. Pierre did the most. He has one of the best resumes. But as far as two division champions, I got to go with BJ Penn. I think even though George St. Pierre has the most impeccable resume than any fighter, in my opinion, I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way how he kind of, picked his spot, so to speak, going up to middleweight. And as much as I love Randy Couture, and y'all know that, he can be kind of accused of the same thing, going up to face Tim Sylvia when heavyweight, which is not traditionally a stacked division, wasn't that stacked. And St. Pierre was going after Bisping, who everybody was kind of going after at the time. Whereas Penn, let's not forget Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes when Matt Hughes was in his prime. Matt Hughes when they were making up accolades, guys. Remember when they were calling him the pound-for-pound strongest fighter of any division? He was on a 5-record title defense streak, and BJ Penn eating McDonald's, training on 2 weeks of notice, moved in on from lightweight because they couldn't find any contenders for the guy, and he comes in and mops the floor with them.
Yeah,
I don't know how you did that. And as far as Conor McGregor, well, BJ did pretty much everything Conor did, but before Conor, so I think he trumps him there. So BJ's my guy for this one.
All right, how about you guys?
You really, really have to nitpick when you come to doing these type of things, and one thing that stands out for me,
they're all great,
is that I like when somebody did it more than 10 pounds. With a 15-pound jump, or in Randy's case, going all the way up to heavyweight. So it's really, really close, but I am going to go with George St. Pierre just because at the time, Matt Hughes was a monster, and he finally dethroned him. And then, I guess Bisping was a great middleweight, probably not the greatest middleweight champion of all time, but he did it kind of towards the end of his career. And so I admired that. So I'm going to end up going with George St. Pierre.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When Dan started down the road of BJ Penn, I was like,
that would be my number 2.
He actually brought up something. BJ Penn, when he beat Matt Hughes was at his greatest. Whereas when Conor won his second belt, he didn't win it from what's considered the greatest UFC lightweight of all time. Which, no disrespect to Alvarez, outstanding lightweight. He's had an amazing career, but he hadn't yet established himself as any one of the top lightweights ever. And Conor didn't defend. Now, BJ also didn't defend, but BJ also made quick work, and we always praised Conor for the quick work he made of Alvarez. BJ really made it look pretty easy against Matt Hughes. Now, what am I getting at? Okay, now let's move over to St. Pierre. He won, but then he left. So there was no title defenses. So barely, I think I have Couture edging out BJ Penn for me because he succeeded at both divisions, and he beat Ortiz and Liddell. Who were the two top guys at the time. Even though he lost his trilogy to Liddell, he still got a win over him. And then he also had title defense, winning the title and the title defense, and he also won a heavyweight tournament early in his career when they just did tournaments. So I feel like he edges it out for me. He performed at both weight classes slightly more than the other guys, but yeah, BJ Penn would be my second, and I didn't think that until Dan laid it out the way he did, and he's right. He does bring a good point there. Hey, this is fun debate, man. You guys can call in anytime you want on this one. I really loved it. All right, so real quick here, the results for that daily debate are the following. Man, you guys are going to be shocked when you hear this. Number 1 was Conor McGregor. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
You're not going to be shocked, yeah. Second place was George St. Pierre. Third place, Randy Couture. Fourth place, BJ Penn. It was 39% for Conor McGregor, 27% for GSP, 19 for Randy Couture, 15 for BJ Penn. Thank you to the almost 1,000 of you that voted. All right. That's your daily debate for today. Danny, how are we looking with our next guest?
Alex is there and ready to go.
Awesome. All right. Alex Caceres will be fighting. Man, this is a great weekend. There's a lot of fights going on, but let me break it down to you. Alex Caceres fights Martin Bravo on July 6th on the Tough 27 finale. So that's Friday night. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Alex? How you been, my man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Always great to have you in action. I've always been a fan of yours. How you feeling for Martin Bravo coming up here on Friday?
I'm feeling great. Had a continuation of the last camp before New York got canceled, so still feeling good about it.
Now, let me ask you something. In your last 6 fights, you're 3-3, and sometimes when fighters hit a certain spell, they want to make either tweaks or adjustments, whether it's a fight camp or maybe themselves. How about you? Is it always stayed the same for you, Alex, or have you made any tweaks like in the last few years? You know, like I said, with either your camp or your own training methods.
Well, just trying to get better at all my facets of the game. If that would be a tweak, you know, just filling in the holes. Trying to be a well-rounded martial artist. So really, if anything, just picking up the pace. I guess just training a little bit harder. Realizing that I can train harder, I guess, and just trying to get better all around. Honestly, I don't think these things change. I always think I have the same mindset. I'm just always trying to get better. I feel like even though I feel like I always had great performances, whether or not I came out victorious or not. So I don't think there was something necessarily in my game that I necessarily work on. Always got to work on my ground. That's always got to fill in that hole for myself. But other than that, it got slipped.
Well, that 3-3 could be a 5-1. Two of those losses were split decisions. Have you gone back and studied those just to see, okay, what could I have done to get that last judge to favor me so that I can be on a 5-1 run?
Well, definitely. I noticed that on those fights that were split decisions, I guess I would. I mean, the China fight, it was unfortunate. You know, I wasn't all there. But the Yahir fight, I think the problem there was, which we've been working on, was just putting out a little bit more output and keeping, just working on the output, I guess. And it's something that I realized during the fight, you know, that it's more. I don't know. It's like one of those epiphanies that you come into realization as you're failing, I guess.
Right. You know, one thing I've noticed about you is no matter what, you're always calm when you fight, and you're not scared to fight. There's a lot of fighters that are out there that they have a lot of nerves, and they're scared to fight because they're scared of getting their ass kicked. I mean, just to keep it simple. You've never really struck me as that fighter. Where do you get that from? Like I say, being so calm and not doesn't appear to me let the nerves get to you when you're in there.
From the streets, man. No, I'm just kidding.
The 305?
You know, date all day. But, no, for real. It's been a part of my life. I've been into confrontational. I've been into confrontations for a very long time in my lifetime. So it's just, I don't know. And even the first time to the last time, I would assume that I think it's in the blood, man. I think it's in the DNA. Just a warrior spirit. I'm an introvert, so I tend to take things and think about them through so much that ultimately, when you think about fighting that long and you try to get into that depth and you run down that rabbit hole, which is never ending, which is like everything in life, you tend to realize that there is really nothing to fear but fear itself. You know, you can't fear. Fear will destroy your mind. It will lead you to a total obliteration. You have to let it pass through you and over you, you know what I mean? And just see where fear is going. And then when you actually see that path that it's taken, nothing's going to be there. It's only you. You're only scared of yourself. Mm-hmm. You're only scared of yourself. You're doubting yourself because you're afraid of not performing well. You're afraid of looking like a fool. But one thing that I tell myself a lot, you have to make yourself a fool as not to become full of yourself.
All right, that works for me. All right, goes. What do you have for Alex Caceres?
Alex, your last two fights outside of the country, and overall, when you look at your record, you've had a lot of fights, international fights. Do you like it that way? Is it good to be back in the States? Like, is there a preference, or can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
I do love seeing different places. I would like to spread them out a little more sparingly. Like that's so I am glad that I am fighting in the States again. You know, I know I have a lot of fans out here in the States, so I like to cater to as much and around the world. So I like to cater to all of them. But just for tax purposes, I would like to spread those international fights out a little bit more. You know, 2 international fights in a row kind of like did a number on me. And it's not always the most convenient and not always the most ideal environment because you're always out of your comfort zone. You're dealing with different time changes, different foods, and different cultures. So there are some stresses that do sneak up on you without you even noticing. So it is I do consider it a blessing to be back in the States finally, especially here in Vegas, which is not too far from Arizona.
Alex, when we first met you, it was off The Ultimate Fighter. And once that's all said and done, I imagine for a few fights after that, when people see you, they'll refer to you as, oh, that's Alex Caceres, that guy from The Ultimate Fighter. Do you remember a particular fight where maybe that you felt like that went away and you stopped being Alex Caceres from The Ultimate Fighter and you just became Alex Caceres, the guy from the UFC?
I believe it was the Sergio Pettis fight. Every time the Sergio Pettis fight, and then it happened again with the Yahir fight. Every time people see me, they always recite those fights. Like, oh man, I remember that fight; it was crazy. And then like they don't even, and then afterwards they're like, oh man, and I also remember you from The Ultimate Fighter. But the first thing I guess that popped into their mind was those two exciting fights because they were very grindy. They were all the way to the end, and they were beautiful dances of life.
Alex, one last thing here. We haven't caught up in a while, but I remember you had told us that because of some of the troubles you were having with the positive tests with the marijuana, you said you were going to quit until the career was over. But in the last 3 years, USADA came aboard, and they're not as strict. So did you back on the Chiba again, or did you still stick with the whole I'm not going to smoke again until I retire from MMA?
Man, that was like a month after I said that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, it's a good thing because, like I said, USADA doesn't really they're not as strict with it. I think before you had to cleanse out 28 days before, and now it's a lot less. So I figured you, O'Malley, the Diaz bros, back in business, right?
Yeah, I seen. I guess after that I seen like the Diaz interviews. And, you know, it's just I didn't think anything to be more rewarding than to be real with yourself, you know. And Diaz, you know, their interviews, their fights especially, show me that, like, you don't have, like, it ain't a drug, it ain't bad. I mean, like, the bad picture that they paint upon it is just kind of like the picture that they paint upon black people here in American society and shit. People are scared for no fucking reason.
I got you, my man. All right. Well, hey, good luck on Friday. Great to catch up with you. And thanks for doing the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. All right, that's Alex Caceres, a.k.a. Bruce Leroy, and that's how you can follow him on Twitter, at Bruce Leroy Glow. Let's take this quick break because we're going to finish out. I mean, it's a stacked show today. We got John Howard coming up next from the PFL, PFL 3, taking place tomorrow night on NBC Sports Network. The welterweights and the middleweights are on display. Remember, 72 fighters. They have a regular season and playoffs, and they have $10 million in championships. 6 different people are going to win $1 million. It's all going to happen here in the next 6 months. So it's been fun catching up with all these fighters, and John Howard's up next. Stay close. Sports from a different perspective on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. VSiN gives you the view from the counter on the only channel broadcasting live from a Las Vegas sportsbook. Follow the money while you follow the games on SiriusXM, channel 204. Odds are you'll like what you hear on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. All right, big thanks to Nabi from the UFC for lining up the Alex Caceres interview. Next up is John Howard. John Howard will be fighting Ghassan Umalatov Thursday night on NBC Sports Network. Now, these fights will emanate from the Charles E. Smith Center in Washington, D.C. The adjusted start time for this show will be 10 p.m. Eastern on NBC Sports Network. The headline bout that night will be Jake Shields versus Ray Cooper III. Again, John Howard, who joins us now, will be fighting Ghassan Umalatov, and all of these welterweights gunning for that $1 million prize. What's up, John? How you doing?
How you doing, brother? Chilling.
Good, my man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. Great to have you back. Listen, we've had some fun over the years with the Boston Celtics and our LA Lakers. A little bit of smack talk. Right now, you guys are a pretty outstanding team, but look out for us, man. We got LeBron. We might have to revive the smack talk going forward.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, it's all good, man. I got LeBron, yeah, but I got to say this, man. You had to get LeBron to play without Celtics, so yeah, I understand. But you know, that was tough to start. We're still in there.
I know my place. I know we're not a playoff team yet, but hopefully we get better. But let's focus on what you got going on. You got Ghassan Umalatov, and man, what a fun thing, right? We've had quite a few fighters from the PFL, and they all cannot express themselves any more louder and clear. It's refreshing. You get a lot of fights, so you guys are getting paid, and then there's a huge payday. How about you, John? Put it in words. What do you think of the PFL, their format, and what they're doing?
The PFL is awesome, man. It's about time that we have a league that takes care of the fighters, man. The fact they're taking a chance on MMA like this and putting some serious money behind this, it's a great opportunity, man, especially for me being in the game for so long, man. And I'm just really appreciative to be part of it, honestly.
Yeah, and check that. John will be participating in the middleweight division with Ghassan Umalatov. He has fought at welterweight in the past, but this will be middleweight bout for John, and therefore he's one of the 12 fighters in the 185-pound division. John, you've had almost 40 fights. Do you feel like, I mean, obviously you have paid your dues, and so an opportunity like this had to happen. You were in the right place at the right time. But, like, were you at any point one of the fighters that felt like maybe the sport got a lot more out of you than you got out of the sport?
Yes and no, man. I mean, being a veteran of the sport, man, I do feel a little bit like that, but I'm also appreciative of what I went through to get to here. But like I said, once again, I'm just really happy that I get the opportunity to be possibly a $1 million fighter, $1 million athlete. So it's awesome, man. It's a good new turn for all MMA fighters, man. And this is the step up that we need to see. We need to see more MMA athletes making millions of dollars across the line. Bigger paydays, bigger opportunities, and I'm just so happy for the sport. The sport is evolving to mainstream, and thank God for it, honestly.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what would you be doing if you weren't an MMA fighter, John?
I'd probably be a simple guy, be an electrician or something like that. I'm a tradesman, man. That's what I do. I work pretty well with my hands, man. And I'm pretty sure I'll be doing that, man, if I wasn't doing MMA.
Did MMA, you think, give you an opportunity that if you do become an electrician, maybe you can build a business or something like that, as opposed to working for someone else? Like maybe, at least to give you the opportunity to stack up some paper and approach your new career that way?
Yeah, man. MMA gave me an opportunity to just to better myself, man. And I didn't expect it to take it the way it took me. It literally took me all over the world because I did MMA. And it's just opportunities that open up. I mean, I've been in local movies. I've been on big time radio shows such as this one, man. And it's been a crazy roller coaster and it keeps going, man. It's not done yet, so I'm just enjoying it.
John Doomsday Howard joining us here on the hotline. He faces Ghassan Umalatov Thursday night, PFL 3 on NBC Sports Network, 9 p.m. Eastern start. Excuse me, 10 p.m. Eastern start time that night. I got to get this right, because I'm seeing a 10 in the night. Folks, we will definitely correct that before Thursday night. But just plan on Thursday night. Some great fights, because so far the PFL has been delivering. Goes, what do you have for John Howard?
I have to correct John Howard, because he wouldn't be an electrician. He is an electrician, because he's been putting people's lights out in the last 2 fights.
He sure has.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
John, these are both first-round victories. They're both TKO stoppages. Can those almost become addictive, man? Do you feel like that's just a trend that's going to keep going here even in this next fight?
Yeah, I think so, man. Obviously, I'm gonna go down there with a plan of trying to take him out the first round, because you get 6 points. But I'm not looking past my opponent. I can't, because he's also a UFC veteran. No, he's pretty well seasoned, so I gotta be careful coming to get 1 round at a time. But if that first round comes, I am definitely gunning, man. If I see an open shot, I'm definitely taking it 100%.
John, sometimes in life, there's certain things that you just can't understand until you actually experience them. And no matter how much prep you go through, it just doesn't work out until you've actually gone through them. With the PFL, I'm sure at some point you read the rules, you maybe devised some sort of training strategy, some sort of fight strategy, but will it be enough, or do you have to actually go through that first night and go, okay, now I think I got it?
You do have to go through it a little bit. I think what it is I've been to the first PFL in New York, and see what stuff is going. And I watched the Chicago fight too. So now I've seen from outside the box, but now it's my experience to be inside the box. Even though I have experience being in so many venues all around the world, this being a different venue, a different format, I'm just glad to get my feet wet, and go out there and see what's really about, and see how everything flows out.
All right, I just checked in with Greg Savage from Professional Fighters League. It is a 9 p.m. start time for the Eastern time zone for Professional Fighters League 3, PFL 3 we're calling it, hashtag PFL 3, and it's on NBC Sports Network, which if you have DirecTV like I do, it's channel 220. Otherwise, check your local satellite and cable listings. Now, remember, there's also pre- and post-fight coverage on their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/PFL MMA Live. Our guest, John Howard, he will be featured on the main card, and in fact, he starts off the main card, so he knows exactly what time he's starting. All right, what round do you get this thing done in, John? I know you're looking to throw them hammers and touch that chin. First, second, third. I want to fill out my dance card right now. When do you get it done with Umalatov?
I have a feeling of a first, but more likely the second. Second round, when I touch his chin cleanly, he's going out.
That's what's up. John, it's always great to catch up with you, man. I hope you have a safe weight cut, and can't wait to see you dance on Thursday night.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
He's in such a good mood, isn't he?
He is, man. He's a real cool guy to have on the show.
Yeah.
John Howard, always have a good time with him. Thanks to Greg Savage for lining that up. All right, let's take our last break, right?
Yeah.
Our last break of the second hour. That way we can cruise all the way to the finish line. We got a funny guy coming up. His name is Adam Hunter. He hosts the MMA Roasted podcast. He's also a writer. In fact, it's his work that you'll be seeing at the World MMA Awards tonight over at the Palms. He writes all the skits, and he writes a lot of the monologues. He had us at his show yesterday, and we had a great time. In fact, he'll be appearing there all week with the exception of today. It's the LA Comedy Club at the Stratosphere, 8 p.m. start time. And I'm telling you, he's got like 2-3 funny comedians with him, and sometimes there's special guests is all I'm saying. I've seen so far. I got Marlon Wayans. I got to see him like last year, I believe, and this past year, last night I got to see Jeremy Piven. So you never know what's up his sleeve, but that's not a guarantee. He is the headliner. All right, we'll be right back. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
SiriusXM presents ESPN's coverage of the championships in Wimbledon. Hear point-by-point action throughout the 4 nights starting every morning at 4 Eastern on Sirius 145, XM 207, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Thank you to the PFL for giving us John Howard. Reminder tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, NBC Sports Network. You have PFL 3 headed your way. Check it out.
You know John Howard broke...
Welcome to the show, Adam.
Oh, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You know John Howard broke the Boston Bombers' nose? You know that?
Really?
No.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember this story.
Yeah, when they were sparring. Yeah.
Oh, prior to, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard it roughly, but I'd be lying if I said I know the details. You know the details? Or
I just know that they were sparring, and
he
broke his nose. Yeah. So he's a hero.
Yeah.
You have broken bones, broken noses? Any of that ever happened to you?
ACL tear.
Yeah? How'd you do it?
Jiu-jitsu. Doing 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. Somebody had me on like an electric chair, and I'm like, I can get out of this. This is not that hard. And I went the wrong way, and then I went for a shot, and my leg just gave out. Yeah.
And for a while there, you actually powered through having it, right? Performing, traveling the country.
Yeah.
Finally, you got it done. And were you like stringent with your PT and everything, or?
I was pretty good. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a bunch of high school kids were beating me in like everything. Like a bunch of 13-year-old Mexican kids were just killing me. But it was awesome. It was fun. And then I ended up having sex with this girl who actually also tore her ACL. So we had like crutches sex. It was like almost like Transformer sex. So that was interesting.
Did you put her in the electric chair?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she was actually like a bodybuilder. And I remember one time she was, can I say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was giving me fellatio, and her muscles were so thing that I was like jealous of her biceps during it. I was like, man, that's how. And I was like, her grip was so strong. I'm like, that's how I would feel if I lifted and like beat off. It was crazy.
Did she lift you?
Pretty much. Yeah. It was.
Let's go into the other room. Picked up Adam.
1,000%. Yes.
All right. Did I get it right? Every day this week through Sunday, with the exception of today, right? LA Comedy Club, 8 p.m.?
Yes. Yeah.
Man, we had a blast last night. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you came with a strong crew, and you did it last year, and you did it this year. You just never know who might be there, so it's really, really a fun time out.
Oh, I love. Why are you laughing?
Look, you picturing her going. I think you better on top and just picking them up like
no,
a kid.
that happened one time. There was an MMA girl. I won't say her name, but like she was on top, and I was like trying to, and I like couldn't sweep her. Like she was, and I was like, "Hey, is it okay if I get on top now?" Because like you could like you usually roll during. I'm like, she had some good hips. But yeah, so excited. Every night at the Stratosphere, I love Vegas. Vegas is great because I have ADHD and the crowd has ADHD, so it's just like constant, and it's fun. I love that little room. It's like intimate, 110 people. And then this Friday night, Stephen Bonner's performing on the show.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm pretty sure Tyron Woodley's doing a set, too.
Oh, yeah? Okay. He's done it before, right?
Yeah, I've been doing comedy with Woodley. He's good. He's actually really good.
Who's the best out of the whole MMA community that's given it a shot? Who's been the best? Who's been the best and who's been the worst? I think I know who the worst was.
The best was Woodley. I gotta say, Woodley came out there.
Better than Dean and some of the other ones?
I mean, Dean's good too. Dean's good too. Woodley's good. Galicchio's good. Leslie Smith is good. They're all good.
But
Tyron has this confidence that he doesn't like. It's like he's singing and dancing and on stage, and you're like, what the hell? And his jokes were good and storytelling. And
he writes his own, or
writes his own. I had nothing to do with it. Tyron's like legit good.
What about Shab?
Shab is good too. I haven't seen Shab, but I heard he's really good. But Tyron is legit. And then the worst, I like love Mayhem, but I think he came up there and it just said the N-word 55 times in a row, and then like it was very performance artery.
He bailed Trig out.
He's better than Trig. I think Trig was better than Mayhem. But Mayhem had potential. He just didn't want to listen.
What about Dana White?
Dana White was good. Dana White was so nervous when he went on. Like, he was sweating, armpits. He was, like, shaking. I couldn't believe how nervous Dana was. Mm-hmm. Dana was legit nervous. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Is there anyone in the MMA community that you would think could do it well and you've maybe asked before and they've said, hey, I just can't do it?
Yeah. Sean McCorkle is hysterical off stage. And I don't know why he doesn't do it, but McCorkle is so funny, and he's a good joke writer. Really good joke writer. Yeah, McCorkle's a confidence issue. Yeah, I mean, like it's funny. Like I talked to like Josh Barnett, and he's like, "Oh man, I think he went up once," and he's like, "It just freaks me out." I go, "Like, didn't you fight Randy Couture?" He's like, "Yeah, but that's easy." I'm like, "That's easy?" I
saw Frank Mir do it.
Yeah, Mir's good too.
He's pretty good.
Mir's good
because he took it slow. You know what I mean? He wasn't trying to fire off.
Yeah,
like I don't know how you do it. In that, like, if Goz and I are watching fights on Saturday, and one of us makes a point like, "Hey, that's American Top Team's 3rd UFC title." When we come and do the show on Monday, because by then I've talked to the valet guys or maybe Dan before the show starts. When I start the show, I'm like, "Oh my God, like, what have I already said that I'm not going to regret?" How do you do it? You literally go through about 200 jokes per night, sometimes twice per night. How do you make sure that you don't already say?
I mean, I've done it before where I've said the same joke twice. That's the worst because there's always one person laughing, and you're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "I said that already." And I'm like, "Oh man, don't smoke pot for the show, or is this something to bail you out?"
Gotcha.
But for the most part, I just know where I stopped and where I stopped. But if I'm 50-50 on whether I said the joke or not, I just won't do it again, just in case. You know, I err on the fact that I might have said it already. But it's hard sometimes when you're hosting. If I'm hosting 3 shows a night, you forget what happens. But it's hard when I'm starting a joke, I'm starting a bit, and I go into the crowd, and then I come back, and I'm like, okay, where did I leave off? That's when it gets to be hard.
You were ruthless yesterday with Bluto. Oh, my God, man. He goes, first he goes, aren't you the guy that chased Popeye around? And so we all kind of imagined, all right, you know, he could be Bluto, but at least he didn't say it. Because Bluto is basically a big old fat dude. And at one point, Adam just goes, "How you doing, Bluto?" I was like, "Oh my God! Thank God I'm way back here, man." Because I'd probably be Bluto, but you play it off so cool, and no one really gives you shit about it.
That guy was Francis Ngannou's training partner.
Bluto?
Bluto was, yeah.
Did you know that before?
Yeah, I invited him to the show.
Wait, Bluto's the guy you were talking to afterwards?
Yeah, the guy with the tattoos on his heads and stuff.
No, he looked more like the one-man gang, I guess.
Kind of looked like that guy, but
Bam Bam Bigelow.
But I had Ngannou come to a show one time, and he doesn't speak English that well, and I was like, "Oh, look, you've come the wrong way since driving an Uber." Like I was giving him such a hard, and he kind of didn't know what was going on. He was with me, Amisha Tate, and then Cindy Dandois, and I was killing him. I was just killing him, and then at the end, he goes, "Come here," and everyone just kind of like parted.
In the middle of the show?
No, at the end, like after the show outside, and he gave me a big hug. And then I saw him at a fight, and he was like, "You," and he gave me a ticket to sit next to him. He was just like, "Yeah, he was a good guy."
Oh, it turned out good then.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But I'm sure there's stories that haven't turned out good.
Oh yeah, of course. I got menus thrown on my head, or people waiting for me afterwards.
No, I mean fighters' stories.
Fighters that got mad at me. Fighters that come to the show usually don't get mad. Like I remember I did the UFC Christmas party for the UFC gym, and it was Matt Hughes and BJ Penn. And I go, "Oh, Matt Hughes, I didn't notice you without BJ's nuts in your mouth." And then he was laughing though. I'm like, this is better than banging your sister? Like he gave me a long afterwards, a long thing. And then I remember the first time Woodley came to a show, he came in late. I'm like, "Oh, you didn't show up to the Rory fight either." And then Caraway was really cool about it.
Oh boy.
Chiesa was cool. I gave Chiesa a hard time.
About the chokeout with Lee, or?
Oh no, it was about the fight that he had before that. The guy, was it Lozon?
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but
and one time I think Masvidal made him cry, right? Or he cried or something like that.
So
no?
I was something where I got Chiesa pretty good. And then but Misha asked me not to make fun of her. She said, "Don't point me out." So I said, "Oh, no problem."
Why?
But we can do that
if you want. Yeah, I mean, because I don't know, Misha, like,
we're fucking tiptoeing into the place hoping you don't see us.
Yeah,
that was an option.
No, she was. If somebody asked me not to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Dude, I think I took my glasses off last time I went to see Adam, and I was like, I gotta this got less ammo over here.
How do you deal with the generational gap? Because when you crack the Bluto joke,
yeah,
him and we know who the fuck Bluto is. That's hilarious. But there might be a few kids that are like, "Who the fuck is Bluto?" How do you deal with that?
It's hard sometimes. Sometimes I'll make a reference. It's so old, people have no idea. Oh, look, it's the guy from Small Wonder or something. But what the hell is
Jamie?
Jamie, the girl from Vicky the Robot from Small Wonder, whatever it is. I forget. But and also the sensitive, generational gap. But I noticed that the younger generation actually, because everything is so PC, when they go to a comedy club now, they're like, "This is great! Wow, I didn't know you were allowed to say this." So, I had these one times. I was in Arizona, and they booked this girl, Fortune Femster, who's like this like lesbian, very famous female comic in like the lesbian community, but also in the regular community. But they booked me. She canceled, so all these lesbians came wanting her. And then the first opening act was gay, and the other guy was gay. And I go up there, and I could just tell like how angry these people were, and I knew exactly what was going on. So I'm like, "Why are you mad?" And you're like, the girl's like, "You're not Fortune," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And like, "Where's Fortune?" Like, I'm like, dude, this was the club booked me. I didn't like. This is not like a you've been hunted kind of show. But these young kids came, high school kids, and they thought it was the funniest thing. To this day, it was like 6 months ago. Every time I post something, they go, "Where's Fortune?" on my Instagram. I'm like they still heckle me. I was like, yeah. So
that's great.
Did you do the fist joke?
Oh yeah, of course. Gotta do the fist joke.
Did they like it at the end of the day? Were they good?
Yeah, I said lesbians make the best fighters because make a tightest fist. and I've yet to have a lesbian person get mad at that joke. It's usually never the race or whatever you're making fun of. It's somebody else on behalf of that person.
You made a good point, man. That is one world where we can escape this PC world, especially me, man. I'm not trying to make excuses, but because I'm older, I've just been through some stuff where you know, we just grew up and this is what was said or done or acted out or whatever, and it wasn't offensive. And I'm not insensitive to it. If people tell me now, hey, look, that's a hurtful thing. All right, cool. You know, cool. But it's not a shut-off thing either, you know what I mean? So just because it may be insensitive to you, but I hear something over there and it makes me laugh, and it made me laugh all my life, maybe slowly I'll learn whatever. But, you know, but I did realize that last night it was like, man, the room was dark, you could laugh with what you want, and that was that. And in the end, no one's trying to hurt anyone. We're all just trying to have a good laugh. Now, to have a good laugh, someone's got to pay the price. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean, and I've said this before, and I'm not trying to get on a soapbox, but there's the gay and lesbian community. There's Latinos and Jews and blacks and this and that. But if there was ever going to be a community that said, "What about us, fat people? We take shots left and right,
yes,
and we're the ones that laugh off the most." But we can sit there and go, "Oh my God, that's so hurtful," or whatever. Man, it's life.
Yeah, it's almost never the person that's going to get someone on behalf of that person. As if they can't speak for themselves. It's even more it's even more offensive to assume that this person's so weak to defend, to be like, "Oh, I'm offended." You know, it's all fucked up. But
I'm glad you comedians fight back for that, because a lot of times you guys get so much shit.
They're all we have.
Right.
Yeah. They're our defense.
People go, "Man, you don't give a crap." I do give a crap, but I can't act like I give a crap because then I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, my job is to really not give a crap. Like, that's why I have to. And also, you want to make fun of everyone equally, and you want everyone to have a good time. And you're right, there are differences amongst cultures and communities. They're not 10 for 10, but it's crazy. But I find fighters are the least sensitive people because they're giant kids.
I think they're the most sensitive people.
Really?
But we're in different environments.
When it comes to their fight game.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, if you say like, congrats to so-and-so, that was a vicious KO. Well, no, that's a bad example. Like, especially when someone wins or doesn't look good, and that's the way you call it. Well, so-and-so won, but it wasn't their most inspiring. You know, oh, man. Well, what about the 7 KOs I had before that? Okay, those were great, but I'm talking about this fight. So I found them to be actually sensitive.
What about when you pick when like you pick the other person to win? They get upset, right?
Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah. That's the worst.
Brutal.
That's the worst.
Or
you have to do that too. You have staff picks to turn.
We just do it. Or I've had people I've had my co-host say something about a fighter, and people get mad at me. And they're like, "Well, you said that." I'm like, "I didn't say that. The other guy said it." Like, I have to speak for now everyone on the show. Like, I had what's his name? We became friends, Bilal Muhammad, but Bilal got upset that my co-host picked someone else. I'm like, "I didn't pick." Like, you out of your mind? Like, what?
We get that from the website. So if somebody writes,
I
can't believe you guys said that. That wasn't. We do the radio show.
Bisbing. I asked him that. He said, "Well, prove me wrong." He's like, "If I picked against you and you won, then you've proved me wrong." You know, but yeah, I do get that. Sometimes what I do is I make it so obvious. If I have 2 guys fighting each other and I have them both in the same show, I'll tell them both I think they're gonna win, so that at least the listener laughs. I'm like, "Oh, I think you're definitely gonna win. You're my favorite fighter. I'm rooting for you." The next guy calls it, "I'm rooting for you." So that way they're like, at least it's a joke. I guess you guys can't do that, but.
I like it.
Well, can we circle back to something?
Yeah. Yes.
You brought up Small Wonder.
Yes.
And 2 weeks ago, we did the most intrusive neighbors in all of television and movie history.
Yes.
Harriet from Small Wonder's got to be on there, right?
Yeah.
The Otmonics from Alf.
Yep.
Urkel.
Married with Children. Marcy Darcy,
Yeah.
and then Steve. And
I
then the
think
other
we
guy.
couldn't get a number 5. Can you think of a number 5?
Number 5, the most intrusive neighbors in the history of.
See, I said Wilson from Home Improvement. If somebody could find that cam footage, that Wilson was storing away that creep, but that's neither here nor there.
That one girl that used to 6 from Blossom. That used to
That's old school pull right there.
Pretty annoying. Yeah, but although I'll tell you, who actually turned out pretty hot is Topanga. Topanga turned out. I saw her in L.A. I was like, whoa. It's funny. I was at the gym one time.
This is the generational gap, by the way. He's not going to include Topanga.
And Steve Sanders was there from 90210, Ian Ziering. And I was like, oh, man, it's a good thing you're working out. And he's like, oh, why? I'm like, remember that guy beat you up when he insulted your mom and then you went down? And I did this whole episode, and he's like, you think that guy could really beat me up? I'm like, no, man, it was a joke. And then Mario Lopez, too. Mario Lopez was at the gym one time, and at Freddie Roach's gym, and Freddie Roach's like, don't spar with him. He tries to knock you out. Like, he's a gym bully. And
really?
Yeah, and he's a good boxer, too. So he was like, hey, man, you want to spar? To me. And I was like, no, but I'll wrestle you. I didn't even know how good of a wrestler he was. He's a good wrestler, but I think I could, at the time, I was like, I could beat him.
That was AC Slater.
Yeah.
He wasn't really.
No, he was. He was
okay,
really like a state champion in California.
Oh, really?
So I was like, I'll wrestle you. He's like, were you any good at wrestling? I'm like, oh, I won the States back in the day. He goes, where? I go, well, I won New England. He goes, New England's not a state. Like, that's what he had to. So I go, listen, you're a good. He's like, I'm a good wrestler too. I'm like, yeah, I remember when Zach wrestled the girl, and then you beat Zach, and you beat the girl, and I played this whole episode, and he's like, huh? And then he just walked away all like confused. So that's what I like doing, going up to like 80 stars and pretending that those things really happen.
Did you know he was in Colors?
Really?
The movie Colors?
Mario Lopez in Colors? Really?
You see him in the background. He's part of that. What was that game called?
21st Street.
Yeah, he was
2-1
part of that
Homes.
game.
Wow.
Remember when they're walking and you can see the background of L.A.?
Yeah.
And they're walking. It's right before they're going to do in Rocket's gang. But you can see him. He's real quiet. He doesn't really say much. But so Gerardo was in it, right? Obviously.
Yeah, Gerardo. Rico Suave.
When he's like popping and stuff, you just see him in the background.
So who do you think's going to win, by the way? Stipe or Cormier?
It's obviously you don't want to talk about colors any longer.
No.
Okay, all right. Miocic or Cormier? I got Cormier if you just want an answer. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, how about you?
Man, I like Stipe. I just think he's too big. He's too big. I think it's a good big guy versus a good smaller guy.
Cormier's 13-0 as a heavyweight.
He's also 75 years old. I mean, he's as a heavyweight, but that's not Stipe. I mean, the guys he beat Barnett. That's the best guy he beat. But I mean, he beat what's his name? Off Juice.
He actually dominated him too.
He knocked out what's name, but that was an Off Juice.
He beat Mir. He beat Roy Nelson. He beat Josh Barnett. He beat
Roy Nelson's like a 55-pounder though, if he actually cut weight. Yeah, I know. I just think the Stipe's too big. I think he's too big. I think that the wrestling you got to give it to Cormier, but it's not. It's MMA wrestling, and then the boxing you got to give it to Stipe. And the reach Stipe.
Well, I don't think you're crazy. I mean,
no, not at all.
Stipe's, I say he's the best heavyweight I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think Stipe should be favored, and I was like riding with him since they announced it, and probably all the way up to like a couple days ago I was picking him. But what made me pick against him was this kind of dynamic. I think you can speak to this because you coach kids wrestling, and it's something that I think whether you're in a wrestling room or a grappling room, you see a lot of. Where I agree, similar style guys from their boxing to they both like the high crotch singles. They have all these similarities, right? But one guy's bigger. I agree. But then sometimes you can get, like Stipe got a little tired trying to control the bigger guy in Ngannou, even though Ngannou wasn't a great wrestler. He still got tired. But a lot of times you see the bigger guy get tired going with a little guy. I'm sure you've experienced where even if you're more technical and you're bigger than the little guy, if you don't put each other out and you keep going, by rounds 2 and 3, that guy starts getting scrambling behind you, getting positions maybe he wouldn't normally get. And that's kind of where I see maybe Cormier having. Do you see any kind of path there like that?
Maybe, but it's hard to get tired when you're on top of somebody, and also just the reach advantage. I've stood next to Cormier. He's Goza size.
Yeah,
And then the other guy is huge. Stipe's a massive guy, and I watched training of this for this fight. And I don't know, man. The hardest fight on that card, I think, to pick is the Holloway Ortega.
That's a tough one too.
That's
they're both tough.
On that a lot.
Just because,
Ortega's just a phenom on the ground. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, now what? Now what with the stand up? Holloway's got a lot of volume. He does pack some punch as well, but as we've seen with Ortega, he's improved tremendously.
But he hasn't looked that good before the what's the name?
Moicano and then Cub. I thought he looked
good against Cub and Edgar. Moicano, he lost at a couple fights.
He loses all the rounds, which is crazy. He's got that Babe Ruth effect that I always harp on. But it's like he loses the rounds but wins the fight, so it puts a weird spec on that, right?
I think Holloway's got it.
Is that your final answer?
Okay.
Final answer.
All right.
Good, because you don't know this, but you're joining us to break down that fight.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, let's take this quick call, though, however. We got to talk to Trevor in New Jersey. What's up, Trevor? How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man.
I just had a question for Dan. I love his predictions and everything, but sports betting just got legal in New Jersey. Usually when I vacation in Nevada, I'd throw down a UFC bet. But this whole card has even matchups like Dan Hooker, Gilbert Burns. So I just wanted to know what your guys' locks were for this card, because it's a pretty confusing card with Ortega, Holloway, Miocic, Cormier. So I just want to know your guys' thoughts.
My lock is Ngannou. Is my lock.
Okay.
I just think that he's too big. I think everyone's jumping off the train because of how he looked against Stipe. But I think the Black Beast gets tired. And he was losing that last fight to that Russian guy. Then he caught him back, or the Brazilian guy. That he
You don't think Ngannou gets tired too, though? He kind of looked gassed in that last one.
that was a 5-rounder, though. This is 3.
But he was tired in the second.
He's still my lock.
All right.
Based on that guy who his training partner told me also how good he's looking. Who else? Who's your lock?
Lock for the whole card? I kind of like, I think I'm going to go Chiesa.
Wow.
Over Pettis?
Yeah.
A lock, huh?
I just think he's kryptonite.
Let me think about it.
to his game.
Dan, you want to answer the question? You wanted your opinions?
There's some tangible favorites if you're looking for some hardcores, female matches on the tough finale. But to be honest, I'm seeing dogs all over the board from the tough finale, UFC 226, main cards and prelims. Whether you're talking about top of the card, like we've talked about in this program, Tavares or Cormier, if you're feeling that. Or you've got some really long odds. Like I'm actually looking at stuff like Uriah Hall, Costa, Rob Font, Sunsao. I mean, there's some live dogs in those fights. A lot of money came in on Gilbert Burns. That line actually tightened up a lot tighter. You were referencing that, Trevor. I'm liking Hooker on that for right now, but I'm still researching that fight. But a lot of money came in on Burns. But yeah, your favorites, man. It's going to be a dangerous weekend to parlay. I'll just warn you there. You're best off sprinkling some dog plays, kind of like more like old George's philosophy there. Sprinkling your dogs this weekend, and it won't hurt you.
I'm going with Marquez, by the way. I think he's going to win.
Okay.
That's just kind of like someone I can tell you. He's not a big favorite, so I'm not being Captain Obvious, but I think he's going to get the job done.
All right.
Marquez?
Yeah.
Who's he fighting?
Alessio Di Chirico. I think Marquez should be the deserved favorite. Di Chirico, though, he's an underrated dude. I think a lot of those Italian guys, because they're not, an established country. The World Cup, they wouldn't be seated that high if this was an MMA World Cup, right? But I think a lot of those Italian guys are coming out and surprising us. I will say in his defense. But yeah, I like Marquez.
There you have it, Trevor.
All right, here it is, Trevor. Pick Stipe, Max Holloway, Ngannou, Chiesa.
Do you have a good track record, Adam?
Max Griffin, no. Max Griffin.
Max Griffin's live.
And then
you don't get many envelopes underneath the mat on Tuesday, huh?
Yeah. No, sometimes. No, when I tell people to bet, they win. When I put money on my own, I don't win because I think way too much about it. It means too much. I start figuring ways the guy's gonna lose. But if I just go boom, 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 then they always win.
All right.
So
there you have it, Trevor. That's the best we could do. What's that?
You guys had, for the tough finale, you guys had the women's fights. You had a couple of good picks. Who were those for the tough finale? For the women's, you said?
Dan?
On the first fights, I've seen a lot of love on Montana De La Rosa, who's facing a fellow Hawaiian. So feel bad about saying that one, but that one's getting a lot of love. It's a playable price, and also a lot of people are liking Barb Honchank over Roxanne Modafferi. And again, those are I actually like the underdogs in both those personally,
So
but
the
the picks and lines are about right if that makes sense to you.
Thank you, Trevor. We got to move on, man. Thanks for the call. We really appreciate it. I want to thank all of our guests today, including Jade Bryce, Darren Elkins, Alex Caceres, John Howard, and, of course, our in-studio guest, Adam Hunter. To learn more about Adam Hunter, go to adamhunter.com, and you can follow him on the social media fronts of Instagram and Twitter at AdamComedian. This week, he'll be at the Las Vegas Comedy Club, 8 p.m., with the exception of tonight. Might as well just say Wednesday through Sunday. Go check him out. It's really, really a good time. Thanks, Adam, for stopping by, my man.
Thank you, guys.
We'll stick around and do the quick breakdown with you. We got to get on out of here, folks. We'll see you all tomorrow. Anthony Pettis will be on the show. Curtis Millender will be on the show. Rob Font will be on the show. It's going to be a blast. Be champions.